Dane yesterday from an S&C perspective as well, and then going into some of the drills. But I'm just going to basically look at some of the stuff that I did with the athlete that young Kai demonstrated. So from, she was predominantly a heel striker to then trying to change it to a forefoot. So just to explain the reasoning behind that, I mean, she still ran a great marathon. She was able to go to Tokyo for GB. So, yeah, but I think after that, just because looking at the way she was striking, I just felt she, because she came with an injury as well, and it was in the hip area. And when we looked at this kind of data, and I could see it anyway from just the way she ran, you could just pick it up as a coach, and that it could possibly cause a problem long term, and also as you fatigue and stuff, there's other elements that we also were able to pick up on as well. Just being able to see her basically doing everything, because she also came from a club background where a lot of the work was done on her own. So when she up sticks and came here, she did a lot of stuff with the coach's eye. So the S&C side of stuff, just all her running. Maybe not so much all the easy running, but at least all the sessions. And another thing just to mention as well, just from her moving around from exercise to exercise in the gym as well, we could also pick up on a pelvic tilt as well. So it was great to get her on the treadmill. We got all that kind of data back once she was able to run after the injury. And then I started thinking about how to see. I first went to Brian to see whether it was possible to do it, because it is difficult when somebody has been doing it for many, many years to then try and change it. But surprisingly, she took to it quite quickly as well. Because the other thing that also mentioned by Dane was is coordination. So, and especially with a lot of the drills and stuff as well, is just trying to get the coordination. And this athlete had never done any of the drills before. And normally an endurance athlete just wakes up, gets dressed, goes out the door, does the run, comes back and doesn't bother with anything else. So it was a big change, but a good one for her in the end. So heel strike. So I then thought about trying to focus on front side mechanics, because when we saw the way she was landing, it's basically a straight leg, and then a lot of force going through as well. And then you'd like to think as she fatigues, there's probably going to be more as she also then starts to sink at the hip area as well. So we look at high knees, did some hurdle walkover drills, and then just tried to work on a knee lift, because there's nothing there. And then of course, like I said, and then just trying to look at how we're going to adjust that pelvic area as well. So in combination with this, I was working with the S&C guys as well to try and work on elements in the gym and the kind of exercises that we were doing to then try and get it to kind of like work together in a sense. I'm going to have Laura help me out with some of the drills. So the key things I wanted to focus on is like staying tall, making sure the hips are pushing up and forward, the angle, so getting the knee drive, looking at the angle at the knee, and then also trying to make sure that the foot is basically tucked in under the knee as well, and then getting that foot to come into a dorsiflex position as well, then to be able to get the best reaction off the floor. So those are the key things that I was trying to work on. The other thing, because you're going into a more like a forefoot and a midfoot landing, is also then trying to make sure that we were toeing off correctly as well. So I'll get Laura to demonstrate the first one then. So it's just going to be a foot roll. Yeah. So basically what I was looking at is just so we're staying tall, she's sinking down at the knee, so you're still staying tall and then rolling through. So what we're trying to do is just trying to make sure that we're extending off the big toe, because that's key as well. That was a starting point, just getting a feel for that, so that's good enough. That was one of the drills, because what I like to do as well is just break down the kind of what I think are the running mechanics as well, and to me that's a good starting point for one of the first drills, just to try and get the muscles in the foot kind of like woken up as well as you go into some of the drills. The other one that I really focused on then again is just your A drill, but staying flat on your standing foot. So yeah, so then that gives me where I can actually look at angles, try and get things right. So like I said, trying to get where the knee is, we're not going too much higher than the hip, and then also just getting the foot into a dorsiflex position. So again, for somebody that hasn't been doing drills, it was just an easy way of getting those positions and getting the feel for it. You can go back into the A drill, but then go up into your toes. So yeah, just trying to get a feel for that again, going into that. So then it just becomes a little bit more dynamic, and then you're just trying to also just try and get them to hold key positions, trying to stay nice and tall. Just looking like we're trying to be nice and steady through your middle area, the back. So we're talking a lot about rotations and stuff as well. So yeah, just trying to get that all nice and steady. Okay. Another one is so basically the B skip, so the claw back, so just the walking one is just so that one there. So again, just trying to make sure that the foot's coming up and over the opposite knee, and then extending and pulling back. That also just because ultimately what we're trying to do is get that foot back under the hip area as well. So it's just trying to get a feel for that as well, because ultimately the way I look at it in running as well is that once you've built up the momentum, what you're trying to do is it's almost like a spinning wheel. You're just going to keep hitting it. Yeah. So if you're hitting the right spot, then that wheel's going to keep spinning. But if that foot's not landing in the right area, then you're going to have to start again. All right. So that's why ultimately we're trying to get that foot back as close as we can under the hip to try and keep the momentum going in the direction that we're looking to go as well. So one thing, I mean, all these drills we normally do as part of a warm-up and stuff as well. But just because I'm focusing on this athlete to try and change things, I also then just went straight from, once I did some of these walking drills, I went to the hurdles, and I really concentrated on just trying to hit, just trying to wake everything up. So muscle memory is a key thing. So then I went over to the hurdle drills and basically did the walking drills. So if you do the 1 foot in each with a trail leg action. But I also kept the hurdles low. So again, got a good knee drive, and then your trail leg coming through, because this also just helps a bit with the hip mobility and stuff as well, so your hip flexors. So it was a good one to try and do. So again, we just carried on with that front side mechanics. So again, if we just do same lead leg. So it's just, once you stop in between the same lead leg, and again, just getting a feel. And what also helps here with doing the hurdles and stuff, it just helps you getting your feet in the right position, so that dorsiflexion that we're looking for as well. So one side, so ultimately you're doing these forward as well as backwards. So again, it just adds more control again, because we're also trying to work on that core area and just get everything to get a proper feel, trying to stay nice and tall. So once we did, so gone from the walking drills to the walking drills and the hurdles, then we came back to the side of the hurdles and then went more dynamic. But like I said, I think Dane also demonstrated yesterday. So one thing I like doing is just trying to, because we spoke about that pelvic tilt, all I want to try and do is just put this around the hip. So we're just trying to get, because again, we're trying to get that hip to push up and forward. It's just trying to wake things up. So I don't add the tension. I look for the athlete to create that tension in that hip area. So because I want that hip to be pushing through, so that just helps as well then to get that foot in the right area once we're doing the drill. So if we just go into an A skip, so yeah, and so I've got good tension created by Laura here just by pushing that hip through. Okay, so we'll keep that on. So again, I did exactly the same with the B skip. So drive knee up and extend foot over opposite knee and pull it off. So making sure that when she's pulling off the floor, I want more tension on that hip. Yeah. Okay. So once I did all the dynamic kind of drills on the sides, I've then moved to coming back to the hurdles, and then just looking. You're right. Yeah. So it's just side on, just then adding that bounce into the skip over the hurdle again. So the way that you can progress all of these is pretty much like Dave and Mai also said about just holding your dowel above your head, or medicine ball, that kind of thing as well. Just trying to add, so we really make sure that the athletes stay nice and tall, keeping their hips up. And again, you can still also use the band as well from the side, just to try and make sure that they stay nice and tall as well. So, but those were the kind of key kind of drills that I really focused on with that athlete to then change her running technique. Now, the other thing that also helped and we thought about was the Alta G. I don't know if you're familiar with that, an anti-gravity treadmill. So because what happens there is that it takes some of your weight, so it kind of lifts you in a sense. And then just thought about, because ultimately what you want to do is take these drills that you're doing to actually then run. So we'd always finish the drills with doing some run outs and then really trying to emphasize the high knee area, and then landing on a forefoot as much as possible. And then what the thought would be kind of good, because ultimately you're looking to do long periods running like that. We thought Alta G would probably be a good starting point as well. So because she's lifted, then it kind of like in a sense also forces you a little bit more onto your forefoot as well. And then because you can actually see through as well, you can then also see what the rest of the body's doing, the legs and the positioning as well, because ultimately it's also just lifting that hip area as well. And I think that was quite a big plus for us, because we've got access to it to be able to do that. So we did periods of running on the Alta G, and then from that we started on the Alta G and then went out onto the track. So you went from on there to then carry on the running out there, to then eventually taking it out to actually just running. It's a bit of a whistle stop kind of tour around the kind of stuff that I did with the marathon athlete to be able to change all of that. But I think when I did see Brian about that originally, he did say it might not be possible, but definitely worth a try. But I think the big thing for me as well is how quickly the athlete was able to change as well, and that was a big surprise to me. She felt a lot better for it. Those are her words, we managed to get her up to speed again, and back to where her PBs were, and even running quicker at some of the distances as well, and feeling better for it. We've got another challenge coming up for us, because she's now pregnant as well. We're going to have another test once baby comes, then to try and get her back to running again. But through the pregnancy as well, she's been able to carry on running and making sure that we're keeping some of these kind of elements going as well. So hopefully when we come back, that it's going to be an easy transition to running again. So Alison's talk later will be quite interesting as well for us when she does get back. Okay. Happy to take any questions if you're